Yeah, kid. Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer podcast. I'm your host, Charles Weinraub, aka the Handsome Homebuyer, twin brother to none other than Captain Permit. Speaking of permits, if you're in the real estate world, commercial, residential, on Long Island, anywhere from the Queens-Elmont border all the way out east, you need us. The towns are out there. They're hunting. They're looking for money. There's no more school zone cameras, so they got to get the money somewhere. Where is it going to be? Building departments and permits. 513-513-8838. If you have a house that smells like cat pee, is dated from the 1960s, has 6 inches of mold on the wall, or human waste floating past the basement steps, all true, I want to buy it. I'm that simple. I'm that low maintenance. 516-777-SOLD. More recently, we're on the commercial tip. Commercial property. Land for ground-up development, assisted livings, office, retail, you name it, whatever it is, the bigger, the badder, the uglier, the dirtier, I want to buy it. 516-777-SOLD. I'm actually really excited to half announce, but I don't want to totally let the cat out of the bag, that we have a half a dozen big commercial deals that are about to get signed in only the first 45 days of this year. We're taking over. What we did in the residential world in only 5 years, we're about to do in the commercial world. So stay tuned. All right. We got a tag team of guests today. This is a very rare thing. I'm really excited. I met these two gentlemen not that long ago. How do I start this? Basically, it's a new day in Long Island commercial real estate, people. All right. We're shattering the status quo. The way things are or have been are about to be totally, totally different. And these two men are leading the charge. Garrett Schultz, sidekick of the one, the only, Patrick O'Brien, president of Keller Williams' newfound commercial division. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate you guys coming down. So, I don't even know where to start. We got a ton of stuff to talk about. We met that. For those of you who don't know Patrick, right? I just want to kind of fill this in. So Patrick and I met because he was on the MLS and he saw the Captain Permit thing. And he's like, oh, this is cool. He really appreciated that. And I appreciated that he appreciated that. So we had a meeting. We started talking about how we can collaborate on the permit front. I started discussing how I want to be in commercial real estate and the things that I'm doing. And we just kind of hit it off. Now, there are certain people that you just connect with because of who they are and their character, right? There are certain guys, there are people that are out there, guys, girls, whatever, that are just full of shit, right? Patrick is not one of those guys. He's a great person. He's a value adder, a value giver. He's a very selfless man. He's a connector of people. He brings people together just to bring them together, right? And he's a rock star in his own right. He's got an amazing story. He's lived some kind of freaking exciting life, right? It's like half reality show, half freaking just, Forbes success story. I'm really excited to be his friend. I'm excited to work with him and to kind of see how the next, 10, 20, 30, 40 years develop, since we're all young hustlers and we're kind of the next generation of commercial real estate on Long Island. In my opinion, in a time where Long Island is ripe for a redevelopment, there's a lot of things that are going to be changing, if not changing basically at this moment. All right, did I under promise and over deliver?
Amazing.
Or what?
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
The Keller, you're the guy. You're the Keller Williams guy on Long Island.
Yeah.
Basically driving that train of commercial real estate.
Yeah. I love it. The opportunity that was presented to me, I took full advantage of. I wanted to put myself in a position kind of where I steered my own ship within, the division.
Yeah.
Had the opportunity, my partner, John Evans, who unfortunately wasn't able to be here due to a family emergency, is a guy I always admired. I worked for John from 2005 to 2008. John owned and operated one of the largest mortgage brokerage houses on Long Island with his partner, Alan Breeker. They employed almost 1,300 people at one point. And John was always a young go-getter, always treated me well when I worked for him. And we always stayed friends. When I joined my previous company, where I was head of business development at Douglas Elliman Commercial, when I signed on, John was an executive there. He was the chief marketing officer. So we kind of reconnected again. John left Element in about 2 years into me being there to take the position to run Daniel Gale in Manhattan or Sotheby's. He had 2 wonderful young boys. He's one of the best dads I've ever been around, and didn't want to do the commute back and forth into the city. So left Daniel Gale, was doing some independent marketing, and had the opportunity to become CEO of Keller Williams. So he had called me back in August, no malicious intent, just to touch base and tell me that they wanted to start a commercial division. So I said, let's have a meeting. So I went in, met with him. He was just asking me, and I said, look, I've been looking to, to venture out and start somewhere new. I love the business model of Keller Williams.
Everybody's happy at Keller all the time, bro. Yeah. I've literally never met an agent at Keller Williams that wasn't like happy, good mood. And I think this all goes back to like
entrepreneurship.
I was gonna say the Sicilians have a saying: the fish stinks from the head down.
I like that.
When you go into a place like, I'll not mention any names, but I went into a village because I was interested in doing some development work there, and I had 2 pieces that I wanted to put together and build a 20-unit apartment building. So I call up the mayor's office. I wanted to meet with the mayor. And the mayor's office calls me back, and they said this to me. The mayor said that he's very busy, that he's a part-time mayor, and he's very busy, and meeting with real estate developers is not a priority. I was like, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
So I went down to the building department myself to do the research, and they were nasty, nasty assholes. So I'm like, all right, you know what? F this town. I'm out of here. I don't need to come and spend X amount of millions of dollars here. You're going to have a problem from day one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how, I went off on a tangent. But the point is, like, you can tell that through and through Keller Williams, the commercial division, the residential division, that, like, everyone's great. Everyone's team players. Like, everyone's there to make the clients happy.
That's right.
It's a great organization. Yeah. That's my point.
And that was the reason why I went there. I wanted to stay within a residential company. Everyone always asks, why didn't you go with a standard Newmark Grubb or a CBRE? And the reason for that is because in our business, we capitalize off of relationships. One of our largest resources is residential real estate agents. So because Keller Williams has a large residential presence, I wanted to capitalize on that. So
very smart.
Yeah.
Very, very, very smart.
Yep.
Because I don't think anybody else really does that.
Yeah, my prior company, they had a system somewhat in place like that, and I wanted to better because I have a little bit more technology background. I wanted to be able to capture those leads, not only for myself, for my team. I wanted to be able to put my team in place to make money as fast as they can, because the benchmark, every residential agent wants to do commercial real estate, but when you tell them that could take 3 to 5 years to make money, and that they have to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 minimum hours, kind of changes their decision.
It's a totally different animal.
Apples and oranges.
I want to actually take it back a little bit. And kind of do a little bit of build up before we really get into like the meat and potatoes of it. Basically, we got a little foreplay here before we jump into bed, metaphorically speaking. So I want to take it back, kind of like you're a local. Are you a local Long Island guy?
Yes.
Where'd you grow up?
Ronkonkoma.
Okay, so you're a local Long Island guy. I always want people to kind of understand, like, you're a very young guy. You're doing great things, and you're like on the forefront of like a big commercial movement. Mm-hmm. And I think people are always like, I want to do some crazy shit like that. How do I get there? Where did he come from? How do I relate to where I came from? So I kind of want to, like, you understand real estate from a lot of different angles. You were in mortgages, right? I kind of want you to talk a little about your progression of how you got into mortgages, how you got into real estate, how did you end up, where you are right now in the learning process and all the lessons along the way?
Absolutely. So my family are blue collar. My dad was a union guy, so it was always pushed, get out, get a job, work with your hands. So when I was 18,
Interesting.
Left, yeah.
What union was he in?
My father was a Teamster, so he was in 282, okay. But my uncles were all in the major union, 638, the steam fitters, The iron workers. I had an open door to get into whatever union I wanted to.
Which is huge, man.
Which is big. So I turned 18. First job I was at the Sears in Bayshore. And was working there, pushing a broom. And I was always observant. And what had happened was the foreman on the job pulled up, and he was in an old, beat-up Nissan Sentra. And I seen him come to work every day. He wasn't the happiest guy. And I said to myself, if he's running the job and he's the top dog, and that's the car that he's driving, I don't think this is what I want to do. On top of it, there was no security. You can work for one company one day, another company another day. And I didn't want that. I always had a vision for where I wanted to be in my life. And the one person I credit that with is my brother. And goes back to his story. Him and I were driving into Manhattan, and a yellow Porsche 911, drove up next to us on the expressway. And I was like, man, I'd love to have that car. And he said, well, give me an excuse why you can't. And I couldn't come up with an excuse. And it kind of opened up my mind to, why can't I be that person in the Porsche? Yeah. And from there, it made me, I stayed in the unions, stayed in the union for a short period of time because I was still green, didn't have the relationships to really venture into that mortgage business, which I wasn't aware of. And, I had friends later on in my early 20s that were making a ton of money. And my best friend, Tommy Costa, was a wholesale bank rep. And I said to him, look, I'd love to get into the mortgage business. The next day, he had me at Lend America. So got into the business.
Oh, really? I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, I was at Lend America. That was where my first venture was. Got into it. It was a whole different world. I wasn't a technology guy. I didn't know computers. Still was wet behind the ears. Did that. Got out of, did it, excelled, worked for John. Left New York in 2008 to move down to South Carolina with my girlfriend at the time. We had an opportunity to get involved with her uncle's development project in Hilton Head. He was going to build 100 units, and she was going to be the exclusive real estate agent.
What year was this?
This was 2008. So it was kind of still a turbulent market.
Did it so you've actually been through it all. You were in it. You were in mortgages
when it was hot,
in the heyday.
Yeah,
probably
absolutely.
Nobody will ever see mortgages like that probably again in our life.
Ever.
Right?
No.
So, you rode that wave.
Absolutely.
And then at this point, when you decided to make the leap, had the market already crashed?
It was still moving. You were still able to make money. There was still brokerages, where, actually it was 2007 when I moved down there, because 2009 is really when they tightened up the guidelines, eliminated the broker. Yeah. Everybody had to be a banker. But we had moved down there. We were there for a year and a half. It really fell off a cliff in 2009. Some things happened. I ended up getting out of the relationship, moving down to Florida, and I had no career because mortgages were that was the worst. 2009 was a very tough year. I didn't want to move back to New York, and that's what I had to do if I wanted to stay in the business. Yeah. So I moved down to Miami. I was young, was 30 years old, started bartending, and I was working at Smith & Wolinski's, and I was watching these guys sit at lunch conducting business. Mm-hmm. I remember serving them drinks, and I was looking at them, and I'm like, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? And I always said I should be that guy on the other side of the bar, conducting business. So I made the decision to move back to New York in 2012. Moved back to New York with literally 2 suitcases in my hands. My father came, picked me up from the airport. I was sleeping on his couch. He gave me his 2001 Volkswagen Bug. to use to get back and forth.
I actually
to
really
work.
like that car, man.
Yeah, drive it. Make that. Go pick up a female in that car.
I wanted to take that car and put a turbocharger in it.
Yeah, they're fast.
And be the guy who is doing like 10-second quarter-mile runs in a Beetle.
Yep.
The ultimate sleeper
car. They go. They're fast.
Flour in the dashboard and everything.
Right? So long story short, 2012 came back, was still in the restaurant business, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Always kind of knew that I wanted to be in real estate, but on the other side, not contained in an office, more face-to-face business. Yeah. So I had a contact who was a real mover and shaker in the real estate business, and reached out to him. I said, look, I want to get into the real estate game. He said to me, call me when you're ready. And for some reason that resonated in my head. Mm-hmm. So saved some money, bought a new car, took my real estate test, called him and said, look, I passed my test, let's meet. I said, all right. So we went, took him out to lunch, and my vision was to sell homes out east.
Okay. That's big luxury Hamptons kind of stuff?
Yeah, because I thought I was a hot shot. So that was my vision. So we went, met, sat down. He was head of business. Head of operations at Element, Michael Murphy. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And sat down and had a really good conversation. And he said to me, look, I don't hire guys, but I really truly believe that you can do good in commercial real estate. I'd be willing to mentor you, but it's going to be a sacrifice. You're going to have to work 2 jobs, do real estate during the day and bartend and be a server at night.
You got to respect the honesty, though.
100%. And he said it's going to be a very humbling experience. And coming from the mortgage world where we were closing, Nina loans in 7 days, making 20, 30 grand, I'm like, I'm going to make money fast, So I never understood what that word humbling meant. And I worked 2 jobs. I worked at Element during the day and waited tables at Insignia at night, and got into commercial real estate and really loved it. There was just something about it that it was a challenge. And because it was such a boutique type business where there's, like the last time they did a count, so to say, of residential license and commercial licenses, there was about 35,000 residential licenses as opposed to 250 commercial licenses. And it's the same license, but it was practicing, commercial based off of commercial agents that were doing transactions.
I didn't realize there was that big of a difference.
Oh, yeah. That's not commercial business is true commercial brokers.
It's a totally different animal.
Yeah, it's apples and oranges.
Totally
I've never done a residential transaction. And wouldn't know how to do it, from the paperwork just to the whole process. But long story short, I ended up leaving Insignia, getting a bartending job. And when I tell you, after the 3 years, I understood what the word humbling meant. And learned the business, developed some relationships. I was promoted to head of business development at Element, helped grow that team, brought in 8 agents. The time I was there, when I first started there, we were in a little shoebox office at corporate. Ended up moving into where they're at now in Dix Hills, but there was only room for one boss, so to say, in that company, and I almost lost my entrepreneurship. When I was there, I really felt like I worked for somebody. I didn't feel like I worked for myself. Right?
That's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
And I think people got to realize, like, as bosses, I think you have the obligation, and this might sound weird to some people, to develop people to the point where they're ready to leave you.
Right.
Right? And I don't think that's a bad thing. While they're with you, they're helping you and you're helping them. It's mutual. But sometimes you get to a point where, like, they have to go and do their own thing.
That's it.
I want to stop you for a second because there's some, like, key points in the story that I just kind of want to highlight for people that I hope they kind of realize. So, I mean, and how you got to kind of where you are. First and foremost, it's you came from a blue-collar family, very hard-working family. Yeah. So, I mean, and you break your ass. Like, in my opinion, for the little amount of time I know you, you are like a work hard, play hard kind of guy.
Absolutely.
You're like, from Monday to Friday, it's like 24/7, my clients, my clients, my clients. And then when the clock goes off for the weekend, it's like, where are we going? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Let's blow off steam.
Yeah.
And it seems to be like a good balance. The interesting thing is, like, there's a lot of people that complain that are kind of like stuck in whatever, like their parents were 14 generations of teachers or this or that, right?
Yeah.
It must have been very interesting for you to walk away from a plethora of union jobs, which is like a lot of people's dream.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What was that to say? And then the mindset, like I was having this conversation with somebody like 2 weeks ago, and I said to her, I'm like, listen, her and I always have this kind of like thing where she feels certain people are more privileged than others. And I said, listen, in this country, we're not all born on the same level, but we all have the same opportunity. That's truly what I believe. And she's always like, no, that's not the case, whatever. But I mean, it's about the mindset. Like, something happened to you at a point in your life where you realize, like, I can have anything. Why can't I have anything? And then you broke out of how many generations of union work. So what was that like? And then how did your family respond to that? Since it's like...
Yeah. So I always say, I mean, I couldn't have better parents as far as what they gave me. You know, my mother taught me how to love. My father taught me how to be a man. And my mom, is
I feel like that should be on a T-shirt or something. That was hot.
But she's, I always say she's my angel. She's such an amazing person, and always told me that, I could do anything that I wanted. She always pushed me to get into computers. I went to school for it. It just wasn't my thing. So she embraced when I told her that I was going to get into the professional world. My dad, he didn't understand it. He still kind of doesn't understand it, but now he sees my success and is proud of what I'm doing. But initially, he couldn't understand how you can work someplace for 3 years
and not get paid,
and not make money.
Very different reality.
Definitely, it was go get a job, make sure that you get benefits, you get your retirement, and look, there's nothing wrong with that. There's, I have friends that are in that field and they do very well. It's just that when I, envisioned my life, I always saw a big house on the water, with a cigarette bowl parked in the back, driving that Porsche. And, I always tried different careers and, or was in several different careers to achieve that. And I always said, I'd start down one path and I'd hit a dead end. Couldn't get to, that objective. Then I tried another path. Couldn't get to that objective. Then it was when I got into commercial real estate, it was like I could see the house, the boat, the Porsche. And if I worked hard enough, that I'd be able to pull into that driveway and get on that boat.
And this is a super cool thing because I teach a class, continuing education for realtors. And the first thing I say out of the gate, which is what you just described, is every successful person has this delusional vision of the way they see the world. Meaning or what most people would say delusional vision. Like, you have the power to see 5, 10, 20 years down the road at what you want your life to look like. And you can literally put yourself in that moment.
Absolutely.
And then you just put together the pieces from where you are that day to where you need to go.
That's right.
Right? But if you never see that, you're never going to get there.
That's right.
And that's a very rare thing. And I think that's what all successful people have. Which is very cool that you just said that. I actually want to ask you about bartending in an interesting sense. Not in the sense that you probably think. I've noticed, right, like we have a mutual friend, Christian.
Yeah.
Arciello. Great guy, crushing it in the private lending space right now. Everybody I know that was a bartender or worked in a very kind of like social environment clubs, they're all very successful today. Well, a lot of them are. And I'm just curious to know how bartending and your experience with people doing those kind of things kind of shaped where you are right now and where you're going.
Because you have to adapt to different personalities, right? And very fast.
Did you ever think about how that might have played a role in your life, the bartending?
100%.
Yeah.
And, in order to be successful, especially when you're dependent on a commission or a tip, is to provide an experience, whether it's you make them laugh while they're buying you a beer, right? Or in a real estate transaction, the same thing. It's a relationship, and I believe that kind of molded me because, you know, especially working at the high end steakhouses, you have so many different personalities that come in there. So you have to be a chameleon. You have to adjust to that personality, and that's kind of what applies in the commercial real estate world. Because we do work with office professionals, medical practitioners, large investors. They're all different, type of personality types.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to, adjust and handle them with care in order to get their business. Because when you sit down in front of an attorney and you're trying to get their listing, a $3 million building, and charge them 6 or 7%. They're going to want you to validate that. And, I believe I'm very good at what I do. But the reason is because I absolutely love what I do. And to me, it's not work. To me, I couldn't be prouder of a profession because there isn't a lot of people in our business. There, when you have, a neurologist or somebody that went to school for 8 to 10 years, right, has all this knowledge, but they're coming to you for your knowledge. To me, that's special. So when you walk into a room of 30 people, you're the one person that does know your business, and not a lot of people have the knowledge because they don't want to sacrifice, those years where, you work in 18-hour days, and there was times where throughout that process it was rough. It was very, very rough. You're just getting by to pay the bills. Just being transparent, there was days where I had to take that change jar and go and cash it in a coin store to put gas in my car. That's
what it takes, man.
Yeah, you got to do what it takes. And if you don't have that love for commercial real estate, you will never be successful.
And through that, in those moments, in those moments when you're literally cashing in change to get gas for your car, you have to see the house, the cigarette boat, whatever it is that your driving force is. And in that moment, which is the hardest moment, you still have to believe that that's what's attainable for you.
Yeah, I wanted to quit a couple of 100 times, but I just said to myself, I can't. I just got to keep going. But to piggyback off of that, the vision, I really credit Michael Ashley from Lend America.
Really?
Yeah, because he was so big on self-development, and he was a big Napoleon Hill guy with Bob Proctor, and you have to envision it and carry a gold card. I sit down, I know it's crazy, but I'll sit down. I have YouTube videos. I can't wait. One of my goals right now is, and I tell my dad, because my dad and I go to breakfast every Saturday morning, that I'll know that I made it when him and I get on my 38-foot cigarettes, start up those motors, and just look at them. And so when I go into work, I have a desk similar to yours with speakers. They say envision it. I'll go onto YouTube. I'll turn on a video that has, a cigarette boat, hear it start up, and just picture myself on that boat. Picture me.
That's interesting.
Because they say you got to envision it.
No, that's true. I agree. I want to talk about some of the stuff you're doing that's different at Keller, and
sure.
So, a couple things I know of. I know that you're developing the referral program for the residential agents, but I think it's brilliant because it's like tons of boots on the ground, and really, no disrespect to residential agents, it's not what they do.
No.
It's a very, very, very different ball game, totally different animal. The way you market, how you get paid.
That's right.
But the fact that you're farming that is very smart. I know you bring in a lot of technology and things, just kind of new ways of doing business in a business where I feel like they've been doing the same thing forever.
Absolutely. So working with residential agents, the most successful agents that I've worked with that made the most money in commercial real estate, they focused on the hat that they wore and closed residential business.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's
nothing
what you
wrong
should
with
do.
that. Exactly. You got to specialize in something. When you try to wear too many hats, that's kind of where you discredit yourself in a sense. So with the referral program, we pay a 25% referral fee. So it doesn't on every transaction that's given to us by that agent. So what happens is they get a deal, right? Or they have a client and the client wants to, purchase a 10,000 square foot industrial building. So what they'll do is we have a referral form on our website, which we tell them. And you could see like our business card's a little different. The QR code, they scan it, it takes them right to our website. So they can print out the referral form right off of that. So they fill out the referral form. They send it over to our assistant, Angela. It gets put into our...
Who's amazing. Shout out to Angela, by the way.
Thank God for Angela. She is truly the backbone of our office. I always say she's the boss, and we work for her. But yeah, she's been amazing. We're really looking forward to her taking her real estate test and excelling in commercial real estate. She's definitely someone who's going to be successful in commercial real estate or whatever endeavor she decides to do. So they would fill out the referral form. It gets sent over to us. We contact the client, and if we believe that we're able to help them with whatever their need is, we'll take it on. But we're very transparent. We turn away a lot of business just because of expectations. In commercial real estate, it's not as emotional as residential.
Yeah, very different.
It's very different.
It's dollars and cents.
That's it. It's 5,000 square foot office building. I need 5 executive offices, a bullpen. It's about generating income.
Yeah.
As opposed to a house, which is very emotional.
Yes.
Because it's a very large investment for them, and it's not typically generating income as opposed to a commercial business. And that's what I tell the residential agents. You have better relationships with your clients than I do because you're guiding them through such an emotional experience, right? Buying a house is probably one of the biggest decisions that somebody will do.
Yeah.
So they truly, truly trust you and depend on you, to take care of them, as do we. But, on the business side, we deal with businessmen, right? So it's a little bit different of a client. So we train our residential agents little keywords, how to talk to their clients, just work your network. Yeah. And, it's amazing how just saying, I align myself with, Patrick O'Brien, the managing director of Keller Williams, and John Evans, the head of operations. And, we're handling all different property types. We do acquisitions, dispositions, leasing. We handle industrial, retail, office, land, mixed use. And it just opens the door. And I tell them, don't talk too much about it. If they have interest, set the appointment. And to circle back, it's amazing. Like, guys like you I look up to.
Thanks, man.
Just for the simple fact of, one, your business, the Captain Permit, when Peter said that, so for everybody that's listening, how I found out about Charles is we represent, just because we're Keller Williams, we also work with other residential shops. So Peter Grosso, a very good friend of mine, an amazing real estate agent, residential real estate agent, owns Remax Integrity in Ronkonkoma, and they don't do any commercial real estate. So we made an agreement that we'll handle all the commercial real estate that comes out of that office.
Very smart.
They get a referral. Yeah, they get they get a referral fee.
So you're actually you're doing this. I mean, this is a big deal. You're doing this with other brokerages that are in Keller Williams.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's a big opportunity for a lot of people.
Without a doubt.
And I think I want to jump back to where you were, but I don't want people to miss this because I think that's important.
Yep.
So if you're a residential broker or agent anywhere, you can align yourself with the best. And then B, I think residential agents need to understand that I think they feel that if they're not taking the commercial listing, that they feel like if they're a realtor, they should be able to do it all, right? Yeah, no. And I don't think that's the case, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I don't think they should feel bad about that.
Not at all. It's just that commercial real estate there is so many moving parts, and what ends up happening is you try to take that commercial listing and you end up tarnishing a relationship because you don't know how to facilitate it. Just like on residential end, I would never know how. I'm sure I can wing it, but even when it comes down to the legal forms,
it's just not what you do every day.
Databases, right? It's just a completely different process. But getting back to it with you, we were at an office meeting doing a presentation, and Peter brought up Captain Permit. And being in commercial real estate, dealing with local municipalities is the most daunting task to deal with.
It's awful.
In your intro, you had said that you went to a township and they gave you a hard time, a lot of resistance. And that's what happens. I mean, being in commercial real estate, surveys and site plans, they're paramount with our process. So Peter had said that. John and I looked at each other. We're like, yo, that's awesome. We got to call him. So we had Angela, our Captain Permit, reach out to you, and you would not give us pricing over the phone. You said, nope, I want to come in. I want to set a meeting. So John and I were like, you know what? Have him come in. You came in, just like you said, you just connect with certain people.
Yeah.
And in my business, I have very strong relationships with people who complement my business as well as I complement theirs. But the whole thing is at this point in my career, I only want to do business with good people, right? So meeting you and talking to you, I was like, I want to get to know him even further. There's a friendship there, plus there's a business opportunity. And John and you left, and I was like, he was amazing. I'm like, I really look forward.
That.
Yeah, I really look forward to friendship, doing business in the future, because it's just, we create opportunity.
Yeah.
We don't sit behind desks and wait around. You bring knowledge and your expertise to the table, and that's very important. But in the real estate, like on commercial side, we're able to help these residential agents earn a second income, and that's very big.
Yeah, like I've been, since I'm really pushing the commercial angle, I've been out there talking to, I'm privileged to know thousands of residential agents, and I've been saying to them, listen, if anything like this comes up, let me know. I have a number of deals coming through residential agents. Residential agents need to think they're like, oh, I'm a residential agent, I don't do commercial. But at the same time, if you start thinking about commercial properties and you put that out into the world, you will be surprised how many people or things you see in commercial that'll come in.
Yep.
And then if they partner with somebody like yourself, I mean, A, they just have to bring the lead in, and B, 25% can be a very nice check.
Peter Grosso got a check for $7,500 for just filling out a piece of paper and sending it over.
That's a commission to sell a house. You list a house for $350 in Ronkonkoma that you sell, and another broker, you made $7,000. You just made the same money.
Yep. That took you probably all of 5 minutes.
Making an introduction.
That's it.
And the client is happier because they were with someone that specializes and does that day in and day out.
Yep, and it opens up a lot of doors, for that residential agent, because our job is to make that residential agent shine, and it's vice versa. I always believe that I don't care what company you're with. Just because I'm at Keller Williams doesn't mean if I get a residential lead that I'm going to refer it to a residential agent. It's all relationships with me. Your title or whatever, it means nothing to me. It's who you are as a person, right? Like I always say, number one, I have a moral obligation to my client. It's not all about money. It's morally, I have to put them into a position to succeed, because I'm a business owner just like them. So I want to set them up for success. And it's the same as with my team. We understand that at our division, when we hire someone, it's our job to help them put food on the table. I met Garrett New Year's Day on the golf course. Started when I first met him, I'm like, man, this guy looks like he's like 15. And we started talking on the front nine. And by the back nine, I'm like, wow, he is so well versed. He comes from a sales background. was very successful at a mutual friend's company, has an amazing story, and I give him a lot of credit. He didn't have a real estate license. He came in and interviewed with us that following week. Once we hired him, he was in the office every single day, took his real estate course while he was at the office, passed the 75-hour test, and then last week took the state test and passed it first go around.
Nice.
So today's his official week of being a real estate agent.
Nice, man. Congrats. That's awesome.
Just a credit to
I want to talk about Garrett Schultz. Everybody, if you guys don't know him, go to handsome_homebuyer. I just posted a story. If you want to appreciate a good head of hair, you got to jump on and check it out. But I want to talk about Garrett being a hotshot up and coming guy, and then just how you develop, how you guys develop people and bring them up in the business. What have you guys been doing together? What are your kind of hopes and dreams for the business? Do you ever think you would be doing something like this? And how's it been so far working with Keller, working with Pat, and where's it going to go?
Yeah, so as mentioned, Pat and I met on the golf course through a mutual friend. After a couple minutes, he invited me into his office the following week. We sat down, met with his partner, John, and him as well. And I saw a really good opportunity. One of the first things he told me, as mentioned earlier in the podcast as well, that it can be a pretty humbling experience to work in commercial real estate 3 to 5 years. And Pat and John really want to change that. They want to change the mold and really, help and develop these young guys like myself to not only succeed and help them make money, but make us money as well. So I think it's a really good trait and a really good reason why I chose a company like Keller and to work directly with Pat. He gives these guys an incredible opportunity to not only learn from the best, but to succeed, not necessarily right away, but, really, expedite that process quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think an important thing that I wanted to say before about Pat in general, I'm sure you'll agree with this, is there's a lot of people in every business that are like, I don't want to share my secrets or my contacts or this or that because, I see you as competition. Mm-hmm. Which, when you really think about it, is patently ridiculous, right? The more you share with people, the knowledge of how to come up in the business, the more it's better for everybody.
That's right.
There's so much business to do if you come from if you operate from a place of abundance, that if you spread that out, it comes back to you. You plant those seeds, it comes back to you 100-fold.
Absolutely. I look at you as a future partner, not as competition. I look at to grow with you and learn from you, and I hope you get the same from me because it's like I said, it's morally. A lot of people look at things like they're so focused on making money that they forget what life's all about, and to me, I would rather sacrifice money out of my pocket to see Garrett succeed, because to me, him pulling up in the car of his dreams, a new Tesla.
That's what it is, the Tesla?
He likes. As we know, John couldn't be here today, so I sarcastically asked to use his Model X for the week while he was
Never
away.
driven a Tesla. How is it? Sick?
See how the speed.
Sick?
I wish it was my car because I'd be driving it a little more aggressivly. I have to be responsible considering it isn't my car.
But I'd beat the hell out of that.
Yeah, this specific one
just joking, John.
0 to 16, 3.8.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
It's instant power.
I've scored a couple times, but
yeah, it's instant power.
Yeah, your head is
it's full electric. That thing?
Full electric. You got to make sure your head's on the headrest,
or
it's snapping back.
Hopefully, John is listening to this. I aged about 10 years the one day that I took that car because it is full battery.
Yeah.
And I took it home, and it'll say 100 miles, but that 100 miles is 10 miles. So what ended up happening was...
Oh, really?
Well, that's because you drive it at 100
I've never driven one of these things. And you got to plug it in.
You have to plug it in.
And you didn't have one of those at your place, obviously.
So I had to go to a listing appointment. Mm. I had to try to find a charging station, which there isn't too many out in Suffolk County. And I had 3 miles, and on my GPS it said 10 miles.
Oh, Jesus.
Thank goodness it was by Suffolk Community College, and that I knew the other broker. I called him. I'm like, look, I'm in a situation. The car is going to run out of batteries or whatever, battery life. Would you mind picking me up from Suffolk Community College, and we'll go there together while this thing charges? And it literally shaved years off of my life
That's
because
awesome.
it was, so crazy. But yeah, getting back to it, it's to me, it's a moral obligation. Money comes and goes. Relationships are forever. So if I'm able to watch Garrett achieve his goals, and that to me is much more rewarding than any check I'm ever going to get. And that's the way that I view it. The whole thing with the referral program, it's not just for us. We have a business. John and I have a business in place already. When I resigned from Element, October 11th, the deal that we made was that my properties will come to me. I had 27 properties.
Nice. Wow. That's a lot.
It's a lot of properties.
That's a lot of commercial listings.
A lot of commercial listings. And, I knew that I was going to be leaving, so I kind of bulked up my portfolio for the simple fact of when you sign on to a company, they want to see transactions and that value that you're bringing over is big. And with that being said, some of the clients, they could have stayed on at Element, but all 27 of my clients came along over with me.
Nice.
So we have ancillary business that comes out of that.
Nice.
Along with the signs that we have, we have 4x10 signs that really make the phones ring, and we want to feed them with business. With hiring agents, especially when they're new, there's a true commitment on our part because we have to invest a good year to 2 years to get them, to give them the knowledge where they could stand on their 2 feet, right? Because, you have to learn office, you have to learn retail, you have to learn industrial, you have to learn land, and each 4 or each 5, including mixed use, is completely different from the next.
That is that. I want to stop you right there for a minute. So I have this thing, and I've been talking about over the last couple of months, that there's a huge void amongst brokers in our business. Let's just say commercial, residential, just wrap it all in one, right?
Yep.
Meaning that I feel that there's a huge opportunity, which obviously you're coming in and filling, of brokers that are not giving the value to their agents that they need.
Absolutely.
Just the fact that there's no broker that I've ever spoke to that is like, I am going to dedicate a year or 2 years of my life to making sure that you succeed and we're all going to succeed together, right? No broker saying that. Like, here, this is what it is. Pay me my desk fee, pay me my percentage. That's it. If you have a problem, email me. Maybe I'll get back to you in 3 days.
Exactly.
Maybe I won't.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff doesn't happen.
No. Because we have to be invested in them too. We have to take time out of our day. Like, every agent in the office, our properties are their properties. We tell them, just because John and I represent that seller or that landlord, go out and find the tenant or the buyer.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Absolutely.
That's 50% of the commission. So 50% of the job is already done. And being new in the business, people don't understand how valuable that is. Any other company that you go to, they're going to make you come into the office, sit at the desk, make 300 phone calls a day, set up a certain amount of appointments for the first 6 months. Once you do that, then they take you out on the field. And it's a true grind. We don't want to do that there. We want them to start making money as fast as they can, because when you put someone in a situation like that, that creates, loyalty to each other. And loyalty is everything. And it's not just about being truthful. It's about really having their best interests at heart as well. That's being loyal, is putting them in a position to truly succeed and to sacrifice time and, money, whatever you want to say, from your own self to give to them, because Garrett's a future partner. It's not, that's the way we look at him. We hired his best friend. We've seen something in his best friend as well. And they're going to be, I'm telling you, they're going to be the next big commercial team on Long Island. Eventually, they're going to be our partners.
Nice. I mean, that's really what it's about.
That's it.
That's really what it's about.
Man.
Before we close out, I want to talk about your predictions, feelings of just the overall market, residential, commercial, economy, how things have led up to this point, where you see them going.
Sure. So, it's such an opportunistic time, to acquire real estate, because the banks are still lending at, an all-time low. because of the redevelopment that's going on in the city, it is really working its way out onto the island. All the industrial buildings that are being rezoned and redeveloped and high rises going up is causing a real surge in the industrial market on Long Island. When I first got into business, the benchmark in industrial space was anywhere from 70 on true office space. On true warehouse space to 125 on flex space, which is fully built out office space. Now it's 125. Now, anything 12,000 square feet and under, you can't find. So what's happening is the manufacturing and distribution companies are coming out onto the island, especially distribution companies. They can't go to Jersey like the manufacturing companies because of the cost coming back into New York with the tolls, and it's very expensive to get back into New York. So they're coming out onto the island, which you see a spike price-wise. I closed an industrial building out in Holtzville, Class C, 6,000 square foot industrial building. Something that probably would have sold $65 a square foot 5 years ago, sold for $167 a square foot.
That's insane.
It's insane, but there's a need for it. They need it. Also on top, you're seeing, it's really sad that our local government pushed Amazon out of.
Dude, that's just crazy.
It's just.
I never get political. I actually posted something yesterday. I'm like, dude, this is just from a sheer I'm not into politics. I don't even own a TV. But what the fuck? What are you thinking? Who lines up and pickets that?
It's crazy.
It doesn't even make sense.
It really, really doesn't. It really doesn't.
25,000 jobs. The ripple effect of that money.
Oh, it's big time.
So my fucking uncle lives in Florida. Sends a thing on Facebook yesterday saying to me, "Oh, Long Island City the infrastructure could never handle that." Just build some more.
That's it.
They're freaking coming in with billions of dollars. What does that even? People are just ignorant.
It doesn't. But
fucking ignorant.
It's crazy. But the whole thing is a lot of people don't realize what Google is doing in Manhattan.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. So you have, they
were the biggest purchaser and leasee of
the West Side Rail Yard.
Of commercial office in Manhattan last year. Yeah,
they did $13 billion last year. I believe they signed on, or that their budget was. They just signed another $9 billion. So it's and they're underneath the radar. Everything was about Amazon, but Google really didn't market it as well. So you have that trend that's going on, and retail. It's amazing. Like the retail sector. What do you think about retail? It's all about adapting and, adjusting, right, to that market. Obviously, e-commerce is killing the retail market. I believe last year, 90% of Christmas shopping was done on the internet. Yeah. But I don't know if you saw. These larger real estate owners are so smart, right? I don't know if you've seen Simon Realty Group, the one that owns all the malls. Yeah. They just signed with a cannabis company. They signed on 108 locations throughout the United States. So they're gonna start to to adjust their business model and find what what company needs a local presence, right? Like you see all the larger financial institutions, they're closing. Citibanks are shutting down Capital Ones, and that's because you could do everything at an ATM. Yeah. But on the other side, the local credit banks are growing, the Bethpage Federal Credit, because they need that local presence, right? They can walk in, they can sit with their local mortgage banker, sit down, go through, because a lot of time, people still want that face-to-face. So it creates, it really does, it creates opportunity. But what sets me aside and what sets us aside from your standard commercial brokerages is something that I do is a little different, is development, okay? So what we do is we go out and we create opportunity. We have a client that comes to us and says, I'm looking to do a 100,000 square foot storage facility. Cool, no problem. Where are you looking to do it? This is where they're looking to do it. We go out, we'll do an analysis of the area, right? We'll find pieces that we believe where it could work, and we'll go and knock on doors. And we'll buy one piece, go to the adjacent piece, buy that, go to the adjacent piece, buy that. We work very strongly with Keith Brown, who is the best zoning attorney on Long Island. He's amazing. Fortunate enough to know Devin Kolka, who's a friend of mine prior to getting into commercial real estate. Obviously, Jack is a staple. Kolka Construction, been in business for 40 years, responsible for building 22 million square feet on Long Island. Devin is now the CEO. Jack is retiring, and Devin is an amazing friend, amazing visionary. And not only is he a good friend, but he's also a client of ours. We represent his 60,000 square foot industrial building. In the last year and a half, we leased 35,000 square feet of space in that building. Did he
just build that? That was an existing building.
Jack is responsible for building about 80% of that industrial park, of Hauppauge Industrial Park.
That was like how they started. That was their big thing.
And what people don't realize is Hauppauge Industrial Park is the second largest industrial park in the country next to Silicon Valley.
I did not know that.
Yep. Jack is responsible for HIA, Hauppauge Industrial Association, one of the largest industrial associations on Long Island. And how that came about was back in 1986 when Hurricane Gloria came through and really devastated Long Island. What ended up happening was Lilco back then turned on everybody's power except for the industrial park. So Jack said, you know what? We need to create a civil group so we can stand up and fight against situations like this. And now HIA has blossomed into something amazing. But getting back to it, development is really my forte. I love the challenge. We still handle all property types, but there's nothing like creating, right? It's like a canvas, the way that I look at it. You know, you find beat up pieces of land or buildings. We knock it down, redevelop it, and make it something beautiful. And how we do that is putting the pieces in place, is putting Charles, like yourself, Keith Brown. We work with Ed Shiner, Devin Kolka. You know, these are major professionals in their field. And I'm just, you know, I was saying to my dad last week, it was like I got into this business and there were certain names, right, that I used to hear. And I always said to myself, man, I hope one day I get the opportunity to really work with that person. And Keith Brown is one of them.
Wow.
You know, I used to always hear Keith Brown's name. And now he's a friend, you know. And we chat, we refer clients back and forth to each other. We're actually out there, you know, looking to do our own acquisitions, myself, Ed Shiner, and Keith, actually my team, my John, and we go out there because we get first look and we have a different vision, right, of what that property could be. We go out, put the deal together, put the national, so on and so forth. So that's a little something unique that we do, but it really is. It all comes down to our vision and, you know, just being able to really help our client maximize their return on their investment. So, you know, it's just something we want to do different. We want 10 quality buyers. For instance, we have a client, Pat Bentnavigna, and young guy. What our objective to do is find value-add properties. Buy him a $3 million building, reposition it, you know, whether it's leases, add value to it, make it into a $5 million asset, have him pull the money out of that, leverage it, buy another piece, and help these people build their portfolio. It's not all about selling, you know, buying, selling. It's our objective is to help them build their wealth.
No, I mean, listen, that's, I don't think you could say it any better than that. If you're an agent that wants to understand more about the referral program, if you're an agent or you're not an agent, you want to maybe transition to commercial, if you want to jump into commercial real estate, or if you're a developer, property owner, how do people get in touch with you?
They can email us at nycommercialteam@kw.com, or they can call our office. We'll leave all our contact information.
Awesome. I'll post that up on social media.
Or they can go on our website too, nycommercialteam, www.nycommercialteam.com.
Perfect. As always, I am Charles Wareham, a.k.a. the Handsome Homebuyer, a.k.a. Captain Permit. If you have a property you're looking to sell, 516-777 sold. I want to buy it. Doesn't matter what it is. If you have permit problems, town problems, you need us, call the captain, 516 513-8838.
Thank you so much, Joel.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.